Hi, welcome back to another tutorial. And this time we're going to talk about VLSM or Variable Length Subnet Mask. Let me just type it. VLSM or Variable Length Subnet Mask. Okay. So what does VLSM mean? Previously on our previous lesson, when we tried to subnet a network, what we did was we subdivided the network in a fixed length. Okay, so let's say for example, a total number of hosts is 32. So all of those networks will have 32 hosts. Okay, irregardless of how many actual hosts are actually present in the network. So even if you have 432 networks and then each of those networks doesn't really maximize the number of hosts. Let's say for one of the network, they only use 2 hosts, and then the other they use 20 hosts. So what happens is that there will be a waste of IP addresses that were assigned. Okay, so that is what happens when we use FLSM or fixed length subnet mask. Okay, so the other one is, I'm just gonna type it, FLSM or fixed length subnet mask. And that is what we did on our previous lesson on subnetting. We were using FLSM. Okay, so that actually means that VLSM is better, or variable length subnet mask is better than FLSM. And why do we say that? Because in variable length subnet mask, we actually try to minimize given the number of hosts, okay, per network, we would be able to design the network that it would be able to maximize, okay, on the number of IPs or IP addresses to be assigned. Okay, to illustrate that is we're going to do and solve the problem that what you see on your screens right now. Okay, so we're going to do this using the the VLSM or the variable length subnet mask. So on the situation that we have here right now is that given the problem that this is what you are asked to assign. Okay, let me read that. The network consists of 3 local area networks. So you see here LAN 1, which has 25 hosts, LAN 2, which has 55 hosts and is connected to the router 2, LAN 3, connected to router 3, has 12 hosts. Okay, and these 3 LANs are connected with serial links. Link A, this is actually link A. So let me replace that. Link A. Let's put a space. Okay. Link A, link B, and link C. Okay, so link A, which this is the serial link, as if you could still recall on the activity on connecting one router to another, we connect a router to another router using a serial link. Okay, so that link is gonna be, you have to set another network for that. Okay, so link A is going to have another network, link B as well, and link C as well. So basically, you have how many networks all in all? You will actually have 6. Why? Because one network for LAN 1, another network for LAN 2, LAN 3, and then link A another network, link B another network, and link C another network. Okay, so we're going to solve this given that we have this ID range of 192.168 24.0/24, design an IP plan for the network using VLSM. Okay, so how do we solve this? Okay, we're going to follow some steps so that we'd be able to solve this easier. Okay, so the first step is actually you have to determine, you have to um, enumerate, okay, the hosts, the network with their hosts, and we're going to organize them in such a way that we have to specify, we have to prioritize the biggest number of hosts, the network with the biggest number of hosts. So in this case, we have LAN 2. So this is the first one. Okay, first one, second one, which one? It's the LAN 1. Okay, LAN 2, which has 55 hosts, number 1. Number 2 set of network is going to be LAN 1, which has 25 hosts. And then LAN 3, 12 hosts. Okay, and then the next hosts will be they have the uniform number of hosts, link A, link B, and link C. Okay, so let's try to actually have typed it already. All you have to do is just highlight it. Okay, so this is the step 1. Arrange the network hosts from largest to smallest, and this is the arrangement. So LAN 2, this one, 55, LAN 1, 25 hosts, LAN 3, 12 hosts, link A, link B, and link C has 2 hosts. Okay, so what's the next step? We're done with the first step. The next step is, of course, we're going to use as we used before, credits to Mr. Sunny. Okay, we're going to use his table. Okay, so let me just highlight that, and there, it's magic. Okay, so step 2 is we pick the subnet for the largest network, which is, of course, this one. Okay, let me highlight that. So this is the first step. Let's have a color for this. Let's have this color. So 55 hosts, which one do you think here? If you can still remember how we made this is the Sunny table. So you won't forget, for the subnet, you put a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, up to 256. And for the host, you can do the reverse, 1, 2, 4, 8, up to 256. Subnet mask, you start with /24 up to /32. So either way, how you like to memorize this, it's fine by me. Okay, so going back, we pick the subnet for the largest network, which is, of course, this is 55. Which one here? Which among here? 32 is less. 128 is too much also. So we'll pick this one. So let's highlight that. So we have 64 hosts. Now, what's the next step? We do what we did with FLSM in our previous activity. So I'm just gonna highlight here. There. So step 3 is we're going to now generate the table. Okay. Generate the table. So we have here the network ID, subnet mask, the range, and the number of hosts, broadcast ID, and the network. This network is which one among here we're going to assign it. But of course, as stated on step 1, we prioritize the biggest network, which is LAN 2, 55. So going back, we're on step 3 now. Let me just make this bold. So here, so 64 hosts. So there are 4 subnets. In this selection, we have 64 hosts and 26. So let's enumerate the 4 subnets. Of course, we always start with the network ID is the first one, this one. The 192.168.4.0/24. Okay, so that is our first network ID. So 192.168.4.0. Okay, so let's complete this first. how do we populate the next network ID? Of course, we just add 64 because this is the number of hosts. Okay, so what's the next is 192. We add 64 to the 0. So 192.168.4.64. Okay, and then next is 192.168.4.64. Let's add that. 64 plus 64, of course, is 128. Why did I use the calculator? Okay, anyway, 128. And finally is there. Remember, we have 4 subnets for this. So 128 and plus 64 is, I guess, it's 192. Let's just 128 plus 64 is 192. There. So let's just copy paste that. So this is 192. So we're done with that. 64, the number of hosts, we just copy it here. 64. Copy. Oops, sorry. What have I done? Sorry, let me just fill that up there. Put it in center. The subnet mask is the same, /26. Don't worry about what I just told you. This is the first step. I'm doing this so that it will be a lot clearer. Okay, let's do this step by step. So subnet mask is, of course, this one, /26. So /26 /20. Oops, what have I done again? /26 /26. Let's put that in the middle. Okay, and then of course the broadcast ID is -1. Remember, -1 from the next network ID. So it's going to be that 63 -1. So that the next network ID is 64. So what's the broadcast ID for this one? For this? So of course -1 from the next network ID. So 127. And then this one also. Sorry. 191. And then finally this is 192 plus 64 is 256. -1 is 255. So this is 255. Okay, and then the range. So in between the network ID and the broadcast ID, that means it's 4. So +1 -1 from the broadcast ID. 192.168.4.62, because it's -1 from the 63. Okay, let me just do it and complete it. So I just copy pasted it so that it's easier for me to rename. So this is 65. So this is 126. Then this is 129 to 190. Yeah, that's right. And then this one is 193 up to, what you think, 254, 254. So our task here for the first one is here. We already have this particular assignment. Okay, this is our design plan for the first, because this is what we need to design first for the largest network. So that means this is LAN. This particular set of IP addresses will be assigned to LAN 2, which has, let me just type here the number of hosts, so that you'd really be able to understand why. And yeah. Okay, so this is LAN 2. So this is 55. How many hosts? 55 hosts. Okay, so let me just put that in center. There. So we have LAN 2 already. So the others still are, let's just unused. The other IP addresses are still unused. Oops, sorry. The status of the other network are still unused. Okay? So, but we're done already with, let me just follow this color code so that we can follow that later. So this is for LAN 2. We're done now with LAN 2. Next is LAN 1, which is 25 hosts. Okay, so it's time now to look at our table again and find 25 hosts. Where does 25 hosts fit in? So let me just remove this so that um, it will be clearer, a lot clearer. So 25 hosts, where does it fall? So it's not 16, but it has to be 32. Okay, it's not also 64 because we're gonna waste more IP addresses. So the closest to 25 hosts, let's have another color for this also. Let's have another color. Let's have this blue. Okay, so 25 hosts falls here. So let's have that color also. So now it's time to fill it up here. Okay, so where do we get the 32 hosts? Of course, from the next one, this one here. So there are presently, if you can check, if as you can see, there's 64 hosts for this one, right? Okay, let me color that also because this is our next slot for the 25. So since we're going to slim it down or budget it into 32 hosts, so we have 64 at present, we are going to divide it by 32. So there will be 232 networks. So let me just insert here, there. So this one, okay, 64. I'm gonna remove this so you will not get confused also. This one and this one. So the subnet mask now, what do you think is the subnet mask? It's not /26 anymore, but /27. So this is going to be /27. And our 64 is going to be what? It's going to be 32 already. Okay? But there will be 232 because 64, how many you complete the 64 with our with what we trimmed it down. So 32 and 32 is still going to be 64. So you have 32 hosts here, you have also 32 hosts here. So basically it's still 34 because 32 plus 32 is 64. Okay? So let me just remove this also unused because we're going to use this already. So what's the next step? You just add this remains, okay? So we put another network ID, which of course is going to be added with the number of hosts. So 64, which means 64 plus 32. Let me just take my calculator so that we can add this. Plus 32 is going to be 96. So that means our next network ID is 192.168.4. What's that? 96. 96. Okay? So this is also going to be /27. So if you before doing that, if you add another to the 96, if you add another 32, you'll notice that it's exactly 128, which is the next network ID, okay, which validates our computation. Okay, so saktong-sakto lang talaga ibig sabihin. So this is /27, of course this is also /27. Okay, and then we have this 3232, and now it's time to input the broadcast ID again. We just minus 1 from the 96. So that means minus 1 is this is going to be 95. And then this one is going to be minus 1 from the 128 is 127. So it's time to fill up our range. Of course, plus 1 from here, minus 1 from here. Okay, so let me just fill this up first. Okay, so plus 1 from the 64 is going to be 65. And minus 1 from our 95. So this 62 is going to be 94. Okay, so next is this one also. We're going to change 96 plus 1. So 97. And 127 minus 1. So this is going to be 126. Okay. So that's it. We have completed this part here. So that means our LAN 1, we have 25 hosts. So you can now assign this to the next. So this is going to be LAN 1, which will have how many hosts? 25 hosts. So this means this is still unused. Okay? The next one is still unused. So we're done with the first two. So next is I'm gonna remove this so that it will be ready for the next batch. So next is 12 hosts. So let's have a color for this also. What do you think? I think let's have a green one. Okay, there. So 12 hosts, where does it fall? Of course, it falls under this number of hosts, 16. It cannot be 8 because it's less. 16, not 32 because we're gonna waste IP addresses. So, saktong-sakto lang talaga ang 16. We'll have the 16. So, let's highlight it. There. So, what's the next step again? We're gonna use the unused. Okay? So, let me highlight that. There. So, unused, we're going to do something to this batch of IP addresses. So next step is we're going to insert a space here. There. Depends if we still need more. I think that's enough. So for this, we change now. We'll remove this and this and this also and this also. Okay, and this. So what's our subnet mask? It's /28. So /28. And then 16, number of hosts 16. There, because this was previously, remember, this is 32. Okay, so let me just do that again. This was the first one, so we're going to divide this by, because this is what we used, so 16. So there are two 16s. So 16 plus 16, you still have the 32. Okay, so 16, and then of course this is we're going to change this to /28 because of this, remember. So this is /28 also. Okay, and then what we're going to do next is we're going to generate the next network ID, which is of course going to be 96 plus 16. Okay, so 96 plus 16 is equals to 112. So 192.168.4.112. To verify again, you add another 16. Let's see if it's going to be 128, which is this one. So 112 plus 16 is of course 128. So we're on the right track. So we're done with that. Time to put the broadcast IDs. Again, -1 from this. So 11, 111, and then minus 1 from this is 127. And then the range, of course, is let me just copy paste it so that I will just rename it in a while. So plus 1 minus 1. So which means this is going to be 97. And then this one is 94. It's actually going to be 110. Okay, 97, 96, 97, 111 minus 1 is 110. Next is this one, 112 is going to be 113. 113, and then 127 minus 1 is 126. There. Okay, so it's filled up now, so that means this is for the 12 hosts, LAN 3. So we now have LAN number 3, and this is for 12 hosts. So this is, of course, unused again. Okay, so we're done with the first three. For this, there's no problem. Not really, not a problem. That means we're just going to solve this once because you have the same number of hosts. Okay, so let's clear this up again. Okay, so two hosts. Okay, so what does that mean, two hosts? Let me just clear this also because this is unused. Now two hosts, where will it fall? Here, because it has two hosts. Remember, okay, even if this is the exact number of hosts, remember that there should be plus 2, there should be two additional addresses because you have to reserve one IP address, one address for the network and another address for the broadcast ID. Okay, so that means 2 is not enough. That's why the next one, which is 4, this is what is ideal for our setup of two hosts. Okay, so let's have another color for this. Let's have, how about there's blue, yellow, about this? Orange or whatever. So again, we're gonna use 4. Why not 2? Because 2 is not enough, because we have to um, allocate one address for the broadcast ID and another one for the network ID. So plus the two usable hosts, so 2 is not going to be enough. That's why we will use 4. There, I colored it so that we have to just fill this up. So there are how many? 1, 2, 3. So let me just, this is the unused. This is what we're going to use. Let me just color it there. So let's insert. Okay. So I'm going to remove this, and this. So 16, actually there will be, if you divide it by 4, you actually will have 4. So let's add another one. Remember, 4, because there are 16 number of hosts, and then we're going to use 4. At present there's 16. We're going to use 4. So we'll have another extra. So there will be 4. So that we can completely fill up the table, and then when we add it up, it will be 128. Okay, so 16, this is now going to be what? 4. So how many 4s? So 16. So 4, 4, 4, 4. So if you add that up, 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4 is actually 16. Okay, so it completes the table. So now it's time for us to put the subnet mask, of course, is /30. /30, and then copy and paste /30, and then the time now to populate or generate the values for this. So all you have to do is just +4 +4 +4. So 192, let me just copy this. I'll just add. So 112 plus 4 is 116. 116 plus 4 is 120. And 120 plus 4 is 124. So if you add another 4 to the 124 is 128, which completes our table. There's a continuity of the IP addresses. So now it's time to generate the broadcast ID. Again, -1, -1, -1. So let me just copy that here. So -1 here. 15. Sorry. Yes, 15. This one is 119. This one is 123. And then this one is 127. There. So I will now paste values only. So this is going to be +1 -1, 113 and 114. So remember, there are 2 hosts. That's why this is the range. This is the usable number of hosts. 113 to 114. So there are actually 2 that can be used as hosts, and then the other two is one is for the network ID and then the other one for the broadcast ID. Okay, so I hope you understood that clearly. So let me just copy paste this and I will just rename it. So 117 to 118, and then this one is 121 to 122, and finally is 125 to 126. There. So that's all filled up now. So remember, what we're looking for is 2 hosts for link A, link B, link C. So we just copy it here. There. So that means this is still unused. This is still free. These IP addresses here are still unused. So let me just remove that. No fill. Okay. So these IP addresses here are still available for additional clients. I'm sorry, assignment. Okay, so that means we have saved a lot of IP address because we use the VLSM or variable length subnet mask, which means we tailor fit the assignment of the IP addresses according to the needs. Okay, according to the needs of the network, according to what our clients require. Okay, so that in the future we can still use the other unavailable IP addresses. Okay, so there's minimal waste of IP addresses with this kind of solving for trying to generate an IP plan for the network. Okay, so I hope guys, so this is our final answer. This is what if this is what your client was asking us or was asking you to do or design an IP plan, so this is what you give your client, this one. Okay, let's try to relate it with the picture or the figure that we have. Let me save this first. Okay, so that means LAN 255 for this is the IP range. Okay, the network ID, broadcast ID. For LAN 1, which is this one with 25 hosts, these are the IP address range, broadcast ID, and the network ID, and so on and so forth. this is how we do it, and I hope you guys would find this useful as you do your activities, and in the future would be able to also make your own. So thanks a lot, guys, for your time, and thanks a lot for listening. Thank you and goodbye.